Hi, friends and family. So good to see some of you here. Well, it's good to see all of you here. I don't know why I used the word some. It's good to see all of you here. I'm going to chat for just a second to make sure any stragglers who may still be coming have time to get in before I play the new album. But I'm just going to go over a few updates about my musical life for those of you who may be interested. And if you're not interested, just stick around for the music, if nothing else. But yeah, it's so good to see all of you here who are here. We were just listening to some songs from my 2020 album, Lamb of Light, which is available on Bandcamp. You can listen to it on Spotify and all those places. But yeah, that last track, actually, I wrote for John. Hi, Dina. For John Jansen, my good dear friend, who's doing awesome stuff. And John had quite the hand in the new album that we're going to be listening to in a moment. He's just a really big inspiration to me in terms of his musical adventures that he takes. I'd like to think that I write interesting music and music that I like. But the things he does are so, brave that it's like really inspirational to me. He writes music using microtones and he builds his own instrument. And for those of you who don't know, like microtonal music is a really broad term, but an easy way to understand it is, I don't know if you can see my piano super well, but you have all the white keys and black keys. John writes music regularly and builds instruments by hand from scratch that plays notes that exist between those keys. That's a gross oversimplification of what he does, but that's some of what he does. And he actually helped me master the new album that we're about to listen to. So if you like the way it sounds, part of that is John. So props to him. Another person I want to bring up is Matt Ferrandino. He was gonna be here tonight, but he traveled back to Connecticut, where he's from. He lives in Kansas right now, near me, but he had to travel back to his hometown this week, so he won't be here with us to talk about any of his music. But he also had, his fingers on this new album. He listened to some of the tracks, gave feedback, and I've just been collaborating with him a lot lately, and so a lot of his stuff kind of has made its way. A lot of his musical thinking has made its way into some of my music. So thanks to Matt Ferrandino. So just a few BS. Oh, that's probably Becky Severance. Hi. If I hope I got that right. Also, BS is an epic like shorthand, because you make people think, wait, what does that BS stand for? So yeah, just a few musical updates. The biggest musical thing I have right now is working on finishing the recording of my opera. It's called Don Henry. A lot of you have heard about it. Some of you maybe haven't. But I received a pretty substantial grant a year-ish ago to record the opera, and my good friends Neil Long and Gretchen Pilley sang on it. Myself and Rachel, we are doing some voice work on it. I'm recording all the bass and the guitar and programming all the drums and stuff. So this has been a huge undertaking. There's still a ton of work to do, but I have a soft release date of August 2nd. So that could change depending on how things, shape out. I'm still hunting for a graphic designer to help me with some stuff. Well, we'll see. There's some stuff up in the air, but my opera, the recording of it should be out August 2nd. One thing I want to talk about too is Tiny Tales. A lot of you know about Tiny Tales, the short story podcast that Rachel and I work on. Rachel, my amazing, talented wife, writes these great short stories, and sometimes we collaborate with other writers, and we turn those stories into short audio movies. and it's been just going so well, and we've been getting more and more listeners. And it all started with my friends and family. So thank you so much. In fact, I think Brittany Green, who's in the chat, she's doing a voice for an upcoming episode. She's done voices for past episodes. She's an incredible musician. Brittany Green, check her out. She is, I think, North Carolina-based musician. I'm sorry if I have the wrong Carolina or state in general. I have a lot on my mind, but I think that's right. So Tiny Tales, if you haven't checked it out yet, please do. You can listen to it, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Amazon, etc. Mike, thank you. Dope AF. I love that. Thank you so much. And yeah, they're usually, like anywhere from 10 minutes to 20 minutes or so. They're called Tiny Tales for a reason. They're pretty short. You can listen to them on a commute, and I think they're good. I'm a little bit biased, but yeah. Some other stuff to bring up. I recently wrote a guitar duet that I premiered with my friend Alea Gonzalez here in Kansas City. Been teaching music as per usual, teaching composition, guitar, bass, piano. Everything's been going pretty well, and it wouldn't be going nearly as well without the support of all my friends and family. So thank you guys. So the album that we're about to listen to, it's called Nostalgia Trap, and I want to tell you how you can listen to it. Actually, I'm going to drop this link. I'm going to drop 2 links for you. Thanks, Aunt Laura. Thank you. So the link I'm sending right now is to my Bandcamp, and this page that you're looking at right here, this is all music that you can purchase and listen to. You can even buy my whole collection. I think it's like $26, and you get all the music on the screen here. I know you can't see what I'm pointing at, but I'm pointing at this. But as you see here, Nostalgia Trap. This is the new album. You can purchase it for $4.50. You can purchase. You can purchase individual tracks for, I think, $1. And I'm going to leave this link here. You can also, so if you go to that link, franknara.hearnow.com, you'll find basically a link tree like this, where you can listen to the album on Spotify, Apple, Amazon. If you hit buy from artists, that takes you right to the Bandcamp. If you are considering buying the album, I'd prefer you do it through Bandcamp, just because I get most of the money that way. Bandcamp doesn't take a huge cut. Spotify, I mean, if you listen to the songs, 3,000 times each, I might make a couple of bucks, no big deal. But, whatever's convenient for you to listen to. I'm not planning on making a lot of money on this. Anything that my friends and family and fans provide financially is just a cherry on top to knowing that you're listening and getting a little bit of enjoyment, hopefully, out of this. So yeah, please consider listening to it, whether it's on Bandcamp, through purchase, or on Spotify or YouTube, whatever it may be. Please consider listening to it after this evening, because that will, generate buzz, get things moving. You'll think to tell friends, etc., etc. So that's all really helpful. So yeah, I think that's all there is to say up front. Let's listen to it now. Some of you know my Uncle Chuck recently passed away, and he was a big part of my sort of musical upbringing, in addition to my family and everything. And one of the things that I remember today is how much he hated like old music. Some people might think of, this middle-aged guy, kind of a boomer. He's just going to listen to the typical old guy rock and roll stuff. I said this to my cousin Mike today. It's not that he hated Led Zeppelin. He just hated that radio stations are still playing Led Zeppelin constantly. So what he taught me, this is an amazing thing. He taught me that new music is good. He didn't like all new music. Nobody likes all new music, but that sort of lesson got instilled in me really strongly, and I don't know, I think it gave me a lot of confidence. And so I just want to dedicate this album to him. And yeah, it's just, he was such a big part of my musical life, and so this one's for him for sure. So without further ado, and please let me know. Hi, Song. Hi. Please let me know if the microphone's too quiet or too loud, if the music's too quiet or too loud. I'm not going to do any talking while we listen. I'll be here. If you have questions, type them in. If you have thoughts, type them in. I'll get to them after we listen. The whole album is like 25 minutes long or something like that. So feel free to just passively listen, turn it on, get a snack, just chill out. Or feel free to very actively listen, and if you have questions about what you're hearing, type them into the chat, text them to me if you have my number, and I will probably address those questions after the fact. So let's listen. Let's listen to Nostalgia Trap. And thanks again for being here.
It can't be true, it's really new. It's on your phone, I'm all alone. Repeat ourselves, reboot ourselves. Recall the smell, remember Cell. I remember a time no one has seen, it makes me cry. It can't be true, it's really new. I remember a time. I remember a time. I remember a time. I remember a time. We must dare to invent a time that's never come. Repeat ourselves, renew our hell. I cannot tell what's really real. I cannot feel. I remember a time no one has seen. It makes me cry. Repeat ourselves, renew our hell. I remember a time. Repeat ourselves, renew our hell. I remember a time. Repeat ourselves, renew our hell. I remember a time. I remember a time. Don't imagine, remember, make it real. Don't imagine, remember, make it real. Don't imagine, remember, make it real.
This summer, the long-awaited 14th sequel to the beloved romantic comedy franchise, The starring Adolf Hitler alongside Ronald Reagan, where they make sweet, sweet love all across the globe, even on the moon. Enjoy this sneak preview to The I gotta know what happens next, as long as it's not too surprising. I gotta feel an open wound. They feel it from me on the widescreen. And Yahweh are dead, Odin and Krishna too. Did you think we'd be free? Those that toil can't agree on what is real, what is true. Watch again, season 2. I gotta know what happens next, as long as it's not too surprising.
Through the years, the church has been a citadel of hope.
Labor must fight for equality for all working people.
We've seen this movie before. On sight, we'll open the door to a room of mirrors and fears and cheers. A sequel to the. We've heard this music before. Recio and 4 on the floor. A quiet dance of peace in a house of war. We've seen this movie before. On sight, we'll open the door to a room of mirrors and fears and cheers. A sequel to the. We've heard this music before. Recio and 4 on the floor. A quiet dance of peace in a house of war. The people love winter because it signals a quiet revolution, a change from the old to the new, a beautiful gray pollution, a
pressing the grass that grew on this go. Quarter to only parasites. The people love winter because it signals a quiet revolution. There will be a people's winter.
I'm so fucking sick, tired, it's all the same. We can't imagine something new, destroying, discovering flame. Can't steal from the rich, so I'll steal from you. Can't make a new life, so I'll make you choose. Can't say what I'm not, so they tell me what I am. Can't make a new life, holding me back. I'm so fucking sick, tired, it's all the same. We can't imagine something new, destroying, discovering flame. Can't steal from the rich, so I'll steal from you. We can't imagine something new. You look like me, I look like you, remade by them without a clue, without a clue. You look like me, I look like you, remade by them without a clue. This looks so familiar, this feels just like summer. This is late December, no trees slaughtered, no heavenly dust, no crystalline rust.
us to vote with our dollar while they vote with a gun. They tell us to vote with our dollar while they vote with a gun.
The earth from which you came will never be the same. The earth from which you came. The earth pulled from the ground, turned to a thunderous sound. The earth pulled from the ground. I know you don't wanna know. I know you can't care to know. I know I don't know. I don't know. No means no means no.
They tell us to vote with our dollar while they vote with a gun. They tell us to vote with our dollar while they vote with a gun.
You only beat the game if you already won the game. Who's got the biggest, longest gun? You only beat the boss when you nail him to the cross and throw the game into the fire. What is power? What is right? A human with the fire is a human with the light. What is flint? What is steel? They make paper into gold and our souls are sold. $1 into plastic and now we're told a swipe and a vote can save us all.
They tell us to vote, 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 vote. These people, they have names, they have names, they have names, they have names. They tell us to vote with our dollar while they vote with a gun. These people, they have names, but they don't want you to have one.
You only beat the game if you already won the game. Who's got the biggest, longest gun? You only beat the boss when you nail him to the cross and throw the game into the fire.
Hi, Helda here, your favorite film actress, currently starring in the 18th sequel of the beloved rom-com franchise, Los Inter. I'm here with a PSA sponsored by Do your part for the planet. Don't fly. Sell your car. Don't eat meat. Do your part for the planet. Did you know the environment can be measured in Have one fewer child for the sake of the planet. For more plastics to adorn the trees and strangle our wildlife. Give up the unborn to the Don't use plastic water bottles. Drink the water that will kill you, Flint, Michigan. Do it for the environment. Do it for the consumer. Sell your car. Don't fly. Don't eat meat. Do your part for the planet. Do your part for the all-consuming gods.
The people loved winter, 'cause it signaled a quiet revolution, a change from the old to the new, a beautiful gray pollution. The people loved winter, 'cause it signaled a quiet revolution, a change from the old to the new, a beautiful gray pollution. The people loved winter,
clue,
'Cause
without
it
a
signaled
clue,
a quiet
without a clue.
revolution, a change
like
from
me.
the old to the new.
I look like
a beautiful gray
without a clue,
pollution.
without a
The
clue,
people
without a
loved
clue.
winter, 'cause it signaled a quiet revolution, a change from the old to the new,
without a
a
clue,
beautiful
without a clue.
gray pollution. The people loved winter, 'cause it signaled a quiet revolution, a change from the old to the new, a beautiful gray pollution.
There it is. That's Nostalgia Trap. Thank you guys so much for listening and hanging out, taking some time out of your Tuesday night to listen to some new music. I really appreciate it. So, one question that I've been asked a few times since sort of putting some of this out into the world is what's the deal with the cover art? Let me just go back to the last scene here. So that's the cover art for the... Actually, yeah. That's the cover art for the album. Yes, Jamie. But, Jamie, you came just in time because you were the first person to ask this question. So, yeah, the cover art here is... It's a little bit hard to explain because... the way that I came to these images is a little bit weird. So the cover art is actually let's go back here. No, that won't work. I got an idea. Yeah, let's do this. I'll be on this screen. So the cover art is they are images taken from this website called thispersondoesnotexist.com. So to answer your guys' questions, Mike asked this, Jamie asked this, who are these people? They're nobody. They don't exist. They're not real. And this website called This Person Does Not Exist, I believe was sort of like an experiment that somebody came up with to see if they could use artificial intelligence to feed data about how humans look. Like they would feed pictures in and descriptions and then have that AI generate a believable image of a human. And 90% of the time, the images, they come out looking fine. They look like normal people, somebody who you might just see walking down the street. But some of the time, the AI messes up. And you get weird images like these ones. So, as you can see in the top right corner here, the AI made this sort of double or this just some sort of weird anomaly of an almost person. It looks monstrous, ghostly maybe. And so I went to the website, thispersondoesnotexist.com, and I had it just keep generating images, and I would find some of these really spooky, uncanny ones and use them for the album art. And the reason that I used this, and as you notice, the configuration is very similar to I forget the Beatles album, but there's a Beatles album where, like, in each quadrant of the album art, there's a different member of the Beatles. So I kind of used 4 weird images from thispersondoesnotexist.com in that sort of Beatles configuration. And the idea was, well, so let me back up a little bit more. And by the way, if you have any other questions about the music or anything, the lyrics, whatever, just type them into the chat and I'll get to them. Yeah. They're all pretty creepy. But so the inspiration for the album, and actually Mike might not remember this, but we actually talked about this idea like 3-4 years ago. We were sitting in his car. We had just got dinner or something. And I was griping about like how it seems like movies and TV shows are just like nothing but prequels, sequels, remakes, reboots, and it was annoying to me, and it still is, for better or for worse. It annoys the crap out of me because it feels like the people who sort of control the culture and the things that we can easily consume are sort of constantly turning our heads backward, right? By putting out another reboot or another Star Wars movie, another movie in the Harry Potter universe. And there's nothing wrong with those things on their own. You know, another Ghostbusters movie. You know, it was very frustrating that, and even with music, like Bruno Mars is a great example. I love Bruno Mars. I love what he does, and I'm probably a little bit more forgiving because I'm a musician, but like, the music that he makes and the music that a lot of people make, who are making top 40 hits, they're using sounds from the 80s, 90s, early 2000s to evoke this sort of nostalgia. Again, sort of forcing us to look back. Don't look ahead. Everything's fine. The way things are now are the way things will be forever. And so that frustration kind of was the reason that I wrote these songs. And these images, their mere existence kind of made me think about how, like, we're sort of duplicated over and over again, whether it's through social media or through the work we do, whether you're an accountant or like you work at a restaurant or whatever it may be, like the work you do sort of puts something of yourself, it like takes something of you and puts it out into the world. And so like these monstrosities here sort of remind me of that, and they sort of remind me of a remake, right? Like a bad remake or something, because most of these images actually they almost look like they are a version of the real person, even though they're not real. I don't know, I'm not sure if that makes sense, because it doesn't make total sense to me. It just felt right to use these images for these specific songs. So yeah, I hope that answers the question of who those people are. They're nobody. They literally do not exist. You will never run into those people on the street because they're not real. And it's kind of creepy because they look very real. Like, it's just like normal looking people, just like they probably have, a house or an apartment somewhere, and they have a grandma and maybe a cat. It's very strange. So I hope that answers the question. So what other questions do you guys have about the album, about the lyrics, about the music, about the creation process? John asked early on, actually, I think it was for the 4th track, he was asking about, what are those sounds? That sounds cool. And I'm reluctant to give away some of the things that I used for these songs, because again, I was very much inspired by this cultural trend to do remakes, reboots, prequels, sequels, etc. And I actually sampled a lot of songs and sounds from other things that I'm not at liberty to discuss, but I did sample a lot of stuff for this album to sort of be in that vein. Mike said the real ones look creepier than the monstrosity. That's really interesting. And it might be that now that you know that they don't exist, now like when you look them dead in the eyes, it's like, whoa, this is weird because these people are not real. What was going on with time signatures and the one that yeah. So Mike, you were listening to, I believe, Remake. To be honest with you, so when I was making this album, I was listening to a lot of Meshuggah, the Swedish heavy metal band that uses a lot of interesting rhythmic stuff in their music, but it's also listening to a lot of hip hop, and I was listening to some things in between. But what I was trying to go for was creating music that was born from improvisation and born from feel rather than a thought process. Now, I hate saying that because I have students, and I hate saying to students like, oh yeah, you just got to feel it, It's stupid. You don't tell students that. You, like, as a musician, I hate saying that. Like, you give them ways to achieve goals. But what I mean by that specifically is through improvisation and through manipulation of things that I had, recorded, I tinkered until something sounded right. So Mike, when you were hearing these weird time signatures and stuff, to the best of my knowledge, most of this album is in 4/4, but in the moment specifically that you were listening to, I think that everything was divisible by 2, but the thing that I had sort of improvised didn't work out to always be 4/4, but it was always in groupings of 2. So when I was tinkering with it on the computer, it kind of worked out. Maybe sometime, I could pull it up. We can hang out and we can dissect it, because I think that part sounds really cool as well, and it would be good to analyze it and know why it sounds cool. So long story short, Mike, I don't know what was going on with the time signatures. I just thought it sounded good and went with that. That's not a very satisfying answer probably, but that's the answer. John just texted me something. He was asking me if I sampled Sufjan, I don't know how to say it, Sufjan Stevens. I know who that is. I think I've only said that name out loud like once in my whole life. But no, I did not sample any Sufjan Stevens. I'll type it in. I've listened to Sufjan Stevens like 3 times my whole life, so I don't think anything accidentally seeped in either. I'm trying to think. I don't think any other questions were asked that I missed. So keep it coming. What questions, concerns, thoughts, ideas do you have about anything from the album? Thanks, Mike. Thanks. I really appreciate that. I'm out of water. Actually, while we're here, I'll just play that moment again. Let's see. I think it was around here. Yeah, I'm not sure if that was the moment that you were referring to, Mike. But yeah. You're welcome, Laura. Jamie Grayson says he doesn't like the people. Yeah, I don't either. They're pretty terrifying. And now you made me think about it even more. Like Mike said, the normal people in there are more terrifying than the monstrosities next to them. I kind of agree with that. Yeah, so if you like the album, please do consider going to Bandcamp. Let's see. Yeah, so if you go to Bandcamp, I'll leave a link right here. You can purchase single songs. You can purchase the whole album. Purchasing the whole album, I think, is cheaper. And if that's not something you're into, follow this link here. That will give you links to the Spotify page for the album, the Amazon page, the Apple Music page, all that stuff. Yeah. So what other questions do you guys have about the music? Or anything else? I mean, beyond music, there's not much I have knowledge on, but what's the next album you'd like to write? So the next album that's going to be coming out, as I mentioned at the beginning, but some of you weren't here, August 2nd is currently the soft release date for the recording of my opera, Don Henry. And there's a lot of work to be done on it, but August 2nd. So that's the next one that's coming out. The next one I'd like to write, I want to do a metal album next, a la Absinthe. Not that Absinthe was strictly a metal band. If you don't know Absinthe, that was my band back in Michigan that I was in with. Let's see. I'm gonna send a link to the chat to the Absinthe anthology. So yeah, the next album I want to write is definitely a metal album, and I have some ideas in the works for it. So yeah, we'll see. I'm very busy with teaching and things like that, and the opera, but I would very much like to write a metal album. Anything working on besides the opera? I guess I just not really. Other than Tiny Tales, teaching music and all that. How long did it take to complete this album? Well, from start to finish, probably 3 years. But total amount of work done, probably a few months, maybe 6 months or something like that. It was a project that I wanted to do really well, and I knew it wasn't going to be like a really long collection of songs. So I wanted to be really careful about how I put it out into the world. I think that all the songs are good, but I wanted to present it in this way as a singular unit, with the collection, as an album, as a sort of electronic rock opera is how I think of it, because it is themed. It's a concept album. So yeah, again, I conceived of the idea a few years ago, but in terms of how much work actually went into making the music, I don't know, maybe 6-7 months. Yes, more guitar. And my dog is barking. Do you hear that? Say hi to Finn, everybody. Yes, more guitar, right? If I do a metal album. And one of the things I'm thinking of, I want to find a way to potentially do a metal album, because I don't have a drum set here. I would love to lay down some drums. I'm okay at drums, but I'm not good enough to do the things that I'd really want to do. So I'd love to do a metal album with guitar and electric bass guitar, but also have like the percussive elements be completely programmed and electronic, because I think that sound could work. It could be really corny and terrible, but it could work. It's something that's being done right now. So I'd want to find a way to do it that I really enjoyed. So we'll see. Oh, Jamie, yeah, I hate that. Like sometimes when I would teach via Zoom, if like one of my students' dogs started barking, Finn would start barking. It was a whole thing. Okay, I think I answered all the questions that I saw in the chat. Yeah. You know a drummer? Well, I know a lot of drummers. The problem is, coordinating things. Actually, Rachel is going to be home soon. Actually, she might be home. That might be why Finn was barking. She was out working. So what other questions do you guys have? This is fun. I love talking about myself. But really, what other questions do you guys have, if any? Okay, well, if y'all don't have any more questions, I think we're going to call it a day. Let me share these links one more time. So, first link I'm going to share is Grayson wants you to know he has a drum set. Yes! Grayson, yes. We'll fly him down. We'll get him set up at a hotel. We'll give him the star treatment. So let me leave some links here. For my podcast that Rachel writes stories for, incredible stories, and I compose music for. Tiny Tales, there's a link for that. Please listen, tell your friends about it. To buy the album you just listened to, follow this link. Nostalgia Trap is the name of the album. And to listen to the album, Spotify, iTunes, etc. Follow that link. Yeah, thank you. I'm so glad that you guys like Tiny Tales. That's just something that is really fun for Rachel and I, and I'm so glad it brings a little bit of joy into you guys' lives. All right. I think that wraps it up. Thank you guys so much for hanging out. If you have questions that you didn't want to ask or think of later, message me, text me, call me, and we can chat about it. I'm glad this was fun for you all. Thank you so much for hanging out, and I will see everybody soon. Oh, James, hey, thanks, James. I don't know if you were lurking the whole time or not, but hi. But all right, thank you guys so much for hanging out.